I think that we're overlooking one of the biggest features of social media, kind of very widely, which is that it's in effect a cult startup machine. It is used to be like, if we talk about cults, most people who are of adult age, maybe most people period, are imagining people in robes, or they're wearing weird suits, or they have, whatever, and they're like, they knock on your door and try to get you to go to some meeting, and then there's some weird compound you're at, and everybody's dressed weird, and like you got to share your wife with the boss, and like all this strange stuff. And you think of these like 100, 200 people compounds, and you think, how could people even fall for that? How could you get into it? And what you're neglecting is that a cult is actually, in a sense, a social dynamic. It's a pathological social dynamic, usually with a narcissistic leader at the top. Although I don't know that one's even necessary. You could have, I think, a decentralized ideological one, but I think eventually a narcissistic and psychopathic leader will eventually emerge that kind of corrals this. So it's a social dynamic, which is a dynamic of enthusiasm for the cult's doctrine, of separating people from outside influences through pretty heavy punishment, love bombing, as it's called, when people are in. So you got to think of a cult as kind of a social dynamic, I think. And when you think of a cult as a social dynamic, I would tell you right now in this world, it's not people in robes or on compounds or with the Kool-Aid getting mixed in the back cabin or whatever. 90%, 95% maybe of cults in the world right now are online phenomena. They are taking place in Discord servers. They are taking place in chat. They are taking place on Telegram servers, where there are very strictly enforced rules for what it means to be included or to belong. It takes the idea of human belonging and turns it pathological around a narcissist's vision of the world, basically, is what a cult dynamic is. And so the rules become very strict for belonging. There's a ton of internal abuse, but that abuse is always paired with, acceptance for the proper amount of, confession of your own, wrongdoing against a cult belief. And I would venture to say that people like Nick Fuentes and academic agent Nima Parvini and so on, who run these online cults, are vastly more common in terms of what a cult looks like today than, Jim Jones or David Koresh or any of these, whoever it was that led the FLDS in Utah. I forgot what the guy's name was that ran it. But, it's, L. Ron Hubbard for Scientology or whatever it was.